Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. I'm Andrew Keating. I lead product marketing here at Beamery. Really welcome you to our LinkedIn Live. Today we've got a really exciting, interesting information to share. We're going to be discussing the skills economy and some of the secrets to how you align skills to roles inside your organization. So during this session, we're also going to be sharing some highlights from our latest product announcement, which happened last week. And we're going to explain how this alignment between skills and roles is so critical for as a first step in a successful skills transformation journey. And really, not to give things away, but creating a dynamic job architecture is really that critical secret to aligning skills to roles. And we're going to talk a lot more about how you can do that, how you can get started. Got some great information to share. So skills have been on the agenda for a really long time. Probably everybody, joining today has heard skills and has been thinking about skills. You may have even started in your organization. HR folks have been thinking about skills for many, many years, decades even. One of the things that's been interesting recently, though, and a shift that we've seen is that increasingly it's actually the CEOs, the CFOs, and executive leadership outside of HR that are really thinking about skills and having this understanding of how critical they are, as well as the HR folks. So we're not really having the problem that we might have had a few years ago of sort of convincing the C levels that this is something we're thinking about for the organization. And as we at Beamery talk with organizations, the common thread is that every organization is searching for what we're calling a skills utopia. And what we mean by this, this is an expansive term because it may mean different things specifically in different organizations. For some organizations, it's actually about adapting quickly to changing market conditions. For other organizations, it's about being able to do workforce planning more than just once a year and not doing that, in spreadsheets or static documents. Other organizations are thinking about having scenario planning and wanting to be able to do that based on real-time data. And there's actually numerous others that would be grouped under this heading because really the skills utopia concept is that end state that we get to when we've got the real-time skills data. So why is it that organizations are looking for this skills utopia? Well, one answer is because the world of work is changing. We all are experiencing this ourselves as employees. We're experiencing this within our organizations as HR professionals. If we're setting policies and adapting to that, we all are reading about and thinking about the shift from in office all the time to hybrid to remote work, how that is manifest across an organization. And consultancies and analyst firms are taking notice of this too. In a recent survey by McKinsey, almost 90%, it was actually 87% of executives said they were experiencing skills gaps in their organizations, but less than half of them had a clear sense of how to address that problem. And so basically, every organization, every department is going to have some type of skills gap that may come over time. And the cost of doing nothing is really significant. So some of the reasons why organizations are looking for this skills utopia is because really so many critical business decisions hinge on skill-based transformation. There's some examples here, but I would challenge everybody to think of a situation, think of a critical business decision, an executive level decision that wouldn't have some element of skills in the mix, right? It's pretty hard to do because whether you're thinking about expanding and growing the business, whether you're thinking about doing a reduction or shift in focus, whether you're thinking about doing acquisition or merger and acquisition activities, improving efficiency. I mentioned scenario planning, like really all of these require having real-time skills data. And then it gets even more complicated when you think about skills data and then you think about jobs and job architecture, because every organization has roles, has jobs. We're all very familiar with job descriptions. We've responded to some when we've been candidates ourselves. We have helped create those if we're hiring managers. If we're recruiters or talent acquisition professionals, we're working with job descriptions every single day. And organizations will find that these end up getting really messy over time, because what happens when you open that new requisition? Well, you go and look at a similar job description that you might have used 6 months ago or a year ago, or you ask a colleague in a different part of the organization who hired for a similar role, or the talent team actually has a database of those job descriptions that have been used. In some cases, you need to have variation, right? So if you're thinking about local versions of a job, if you're thinking about differences in geography, if you're thinking about change over time, it probably makes sense to have different versions of it. But this can also get really unwieldy. So a couple years ago, Josh Bersin, who probably needs no introduction, noted industry analyst, he wrote a report in which he said, fixing and maintaining, building your job architecture is a new business imperative. And so he was saying this a couple of years ago, but he also called it one of the most devilish problems in business, that it's really hard to do. And he noted that not prioritizing it puts some strain on your organization. This is a great report and perspective that he shared a little while ago. I encourage everybody to check that out. It's on his website. But what we're going to talk about for the rest of the time today is how you can get started actually doing something about that, actually fixing this problem, actually aligning your job architecture to skill-based, to skills in your organization. So skills-based transformation really starts with fixing your job architecture, and how you do that, and doing that right builds the right talent decisions. That actually starts with job architecture transformation. So if you think about what's that first step to really organize and orient your organization around skills, it's actually fixing job architecture. It's actually creating a common language for skills, unifying skills data from different sources, contextualizing it based on your job architecture and your roles, and automatically mapping new skills for a consistent real-time view of what you have today and then what you'll need to plan for the future. To put it really simply, you've got to build the right skills foundation, and you do that by bringing in and standardizing your job architecture. So you can fit the jobs to the specifics of your business with the same kind of rigor you have in financial systems. You can take thousands of jobs, and you can streamline those. You can ensure that you have the skills mapped to them. You can unify skills data from different sources. And then the key, as I mentioned a minute or so ago, is to contextualize it based on the job architecture. Because just having a consistent set of skills, that's fantastic. A lot of organizations are still struggling to normalize skills across different systems. So you absolutely need to do that too. But just having that skills data separate from that mess of different job descriptions is not going to really build the right foundation to your skills transformation journey. The skills are the backbone of your company. The data is usually inconsistent. It's spread out across different systems and it's out of date. And so what we've been working on at Beamery is unifying that skills data from different sources, standardizing that skills data. And then the exciting thing that we announced last week is actually doing the same on the job architecture side and kind of bringing together skills and roles. We'll talk a little bit more in a few minutes about the specifics of what that means. Before we do that, I just want to call out that actually ignoring this problem and not prioritizing job architecture has negative impacts throughout your organization as well. Some of this is kind of what we live with day in and day out today. On the talent acquisition side, think about what happens when you're just using a job description for a similar role from a year or two ago, or from a different part of the organization or a different department. We all can imagine that leads to, or it can lead to, poor quality of hire. In fact, what this really does is like put strain on the TA team, because all of you working in TA have to kind of figure this out and reconcile it just based on your professional skills. So it's basically like throwing human expertise at this problem. It can lead to longer time to hire. It can just burn out and exasperate the TA team. And ultimately, this kind of can harm the reputation that HR has with the business, right? If you're not having that right alignment and getting the talent into the right roles, that's really problematic. On the internal talent management side of things, what does this do? Well, it's hard to have a clear career pathway for your employees if you've got this inconsistent job architecture. It's hard to design learning experiences and learning pathways for them and suggest what skills they should acquire if we're not really clear, like what skills they're meant to be using within their current role. And so ultimately, this leads to disengaged employees. It leads to unsuccessful internal mobility programs. So across the board, and ultimately for the business, skills misalignment and misalignment or lack of alignment with skills and jobs directly impacts quality of hire. It gives you, poor standardization of skills, and really, like it should be pretty obvious. Like it means you're not able to achieve that skills-based transformation that is so critical for business today. Ultimately, you're going to have higher turnover. You're going to have poor ROI on HR initiatives and all sorts of these negative consequences. Well, that's the bad part. The good news is that we at Beamery have been working on this. We announced some capabilities last week that are really helping organizations to tackle this problem. What Burson was calling this devilish problem, right? We announced a capability that allows you to create your unique job architecture really in a matter of days. With some organizations, it's even been like the very same day, where we can take the data that they have, we can ingest exports from your other systems, we can unify your roles and skills data, and we can do that very, very quickly. We can consolidate and map the skills to your unique job architecture. And all of this utilizes Beamery's unique intelligence and data set that considers factors like industry, company size, and really lets you enrich what you already have with skill synonyms, with adjacencies, all of the power of our incredible AI capabilities. You bring that to bear on creating this dynamic job architecture and incorporating the skills data as well. So really exciting. We've been working with multiple customers around this already, and they've been seeing truly transformative results. When you think about how you did this without our technology and without these incredible capabilities, you're actually doing it with a lot of manual effort. You may be paying consultants a lot of money or embarking on 6, 12, 18-month long projects. And we're actually able to do it with organizations, again, in a matter of days, in a matter of weeks, instead of these really lengthy projects. So what customers are seeing is that this actually lets them realize pretty immediate ROI on time, costs, and effort, because they're able to do things like see immediate improvement in vacancy matches for candidates. And some of this might seem really obvious, that if you actually have a standardized job architecture with skills associated with it, you're probably going to get better recommendations on the right candidates for those roles. You're going to save time in terms of aligning skills and calibrating vacancies with skills. Aligning with your hiring managers is going to be a lot easier, because you're going to go into that meeting with a hiring manager and already have a standardized job description with skills that are already associated with it. And then, of course, you can edit it, you can tune it, you can customize it as needed, but your starting point is just so much better. So you're able to just reduce time to hire, you're able to move more quickly. And then that helps on the talent management side of things as well for your existing employees, because internal mobility, you're able to make better suggestions for internal employees that might be interested in a new role, or even the skills that they need to acquire, the trainings that they need to do. So you're able to kind of export this for other HR and learning and development systems as well, so that this data feeds into all these different places where skills might live inside your organization. So the bottom line here is that you are saying goodbye to a stale job architecture that's out of date. You're able to have, you're able to edit the job architecture. You're able to have like a high degree of control, and you can do that manual tweaking I was mentioning for specific roles. You can customize different access for different users to provide visibility. You can dynamically update and maintain your job architecture so it never gets out of date again. You've cleaned up the mess and you've put it in a good foundation moving forward. You can also get these kind of feedback loops throughout the platform. So you can be alerted, like when a hiring manager and a recruiter calibrate the skills for an open vacancy, that is something that can be reported on. That data also can help inform, the general job description and future vacancies. And then it gets really exciting when you start looking at the external labor market data that you can bring in to do, to get insights and to actually develop further, for your planning purposes, to be able to really realize dynamic, agile workforce planning. So, there's really never been a better time to start a skills transformation journey. We know it's on everybody's minds and on the agenda. It has been of HR for a long time. Increasingly, it is for your C-level executives as well. They're reading, articles. They're talking with their peers and thinking about how they can achieve skills-based transformation. And HR is really able to be a solution provider internally. And this manifests in all these different ways. I talked a little bit about the manager experience, how that improves hiring and development and redeployment decisions. I've talked about the employee experience and the candidate experience, and then really how this helps TA teams, sourcers, and recruiters. This benefits across the entire talent lifecycle. And I mentioned as well workforce insights and really being able to plan in a dynamic way because you're leveraging real-time data. And that truly transforms the way HR operates. And that actually transforms, other areas of the business as well when you can have real-time data about skills and jobs. So you can better prioritize and inform skills-based hiring. You can boost the quality of hire, reduce time to hire, achieve those DE&I goals and objectives. All sorts of benefits that accrue from getting this foundation right. And this is one of the reasons why our product team has been so focused on building these incredible capabilities to bring to all of you. So that was a lot of information. Hopefully you're excited as I am about the potential here to really achieve skills-based transformation and what we've got coming up next. There's a lot more to say about this really, and we just kind of scratched the surface here. We're holding a webinar next week. We're going to share information in the chat. It's free and easy to register, so I encourage everybody, click and register. If you can't make the exact time slot, if you register, we'll send you a recording after the fact. So go ahead and just register now for this. What we're going to do on this webinar is we're going to have some folks from Beamery's product team. We're going to have some of us from the product marketing team. We're going to go into a lot more depth. I just gave a quick overview of these capabilities. You're going to actually get to see them in action. So we're going to be doing some live demoing next week. So you'll get to see this, and that makes it real in a way that just me talking about it doesn't necessarily. So go ahead and click the link that we're putting in the chat. Register for this webinar next week. In the US, we've got a holiday weekend coming up. So, go ahead and do it now so you don't forget, and then join us next week. If you're not able to make it September 6th, if you're not able to make it in person, again, we will send you a recording and follow up with you after the fact. And if you'd actually like a customized, bespoke demo and engagement for yourself and your organization, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, where we are right now. You can also email me if you prefer. And then you can also go to our website and, use the contact us form, and you can book a demo and a session with an expert on skills-based transformation. And so we can show you exactly how the technology works, and we can actually start the conversation about how to implement this within your organization. So thanks so much for joining. For those in the US that have the Labor Day holiday weekend coming up, I hope everybody has a great, enjoyable holiday weekend. Everybody joining, hope you have a great weekend as well. Look forward to seeing you next week on our webinar, where we're going to go a lot deeper on skills-based transformation. Thanks so much.